All right, how's it going, everyone? So I'm gonna run through how I edit personal trainers react podcast that John and myself do every week. We find internet articles about fitness and strength training and health related things, and then we comment on them. We're actually available on Apple Podcasts. It's called Personal Trainers React. You'll know that you found it because you'll see a rather goofy cartoon of the two of us, which I thoroughly enjoy. Let me just take some coffee here. All right, so John and I use the Signal app, and we talk to each other virtually because we live about an hour apart, so we cannot always meet in person to do the podcast. So 9 times out of 10, we'll do it virtually. So we do a video call using Signal, and we read through the article together. We do the podcast that way. John records his track separately from myself, and then when we're done, he exports his file onto a Google Drive. I download that file, and then I add it into Studio One. So I then merge the two together. So as you can see on my screen, there's no reason his is smaller than mine. Mine is at the top, John's at the bottom, blue and green. It's his recording and mine. So I then start adding, I do kind of two main things. The first thing is I try to mute or cut out any kind of extra sound or extra noise that we make. So I go through the entire episode and I listen to that and I start cutting things out. Like if I sneeze or if I cough or if I move my chair in a weird way, I cut those sounds out. That helps make it sound more professional. And then I also add some processing to the tracks. So here's my setup, and here's kind of the order. I think it's called signal chain or plug-in chain. Basically, I start with, first and foremost, I take both my track and John's track, and I send them to a bus, a MIXBUS. So this is where I can process both of them together. So what I do first is I turn on a VU meter. This is the loudness meter, basically. And I will play John's track, I'll play my track, and I'll make sure that the levels are the same. So in this case, I want them to hit around the 0 mark here. So let's go ahead and hear John talk.
Alternative to orthotics and surgery, and they are designed to prevent and address many foot and toe problems. We love correct toes. We know you will too. Use the code CT35OFF. Once again, that code is CT35OFF.
So for example, if John's volume is too quiet, here's one of the first things I do. Make this a little bigger. I will take John's track. And what I love about Studio One, this is the software I'm using, I could just take, so let's say John's track is too quiet.
Earn your money back. Again, this weight loss program, the contract is a great
now, I
weight
know
loss program.
0 dB
Call or text 732
is where I want it to be, which translates to minus 18 dBFS.
We are also brought to you by Correct Toes. What makes Correct Toes unique? They are designed to restore original toe splay and alignment. They are made of a durable and flexible medical-grade silicone. They're naturally antimicrobial
so I try to get it around here, or at least the high points.
They promote balance and optimal foot and
all right, so I did that. Did the same thing with mine. I already did that. Next, I will add a MIXBUS compressor. So this is, nope, I'm just kidding. I don't do that next. I then go, actually, it depends. It depends. I'll just go into this. So MIXBUS compressor. So this is the compressor I use. It's by Cush Audio. I love it. Now, here is, this knob right here is threshold. So this is the point in which the compressor starts lowering the volume. So basically, the way a compressor works is you program it to basically squish the volume so that the highest points of the speech is lowered in volume automatically, which then brings it closer to the softest points. So it creates a better balance in the podcast so that it's not this big dynamic range of speech, which can be jarring if you're listening to any kind of podcast. If you feel like you have to turn the volume up and down when you're listening to something, that's a sign that they didn't do a good job of compressing it enough. So now on the MIXBUS, I don't add a ton of compression. I just want it to basically go through this compressor because it actually just creates a nice little tone to it. So I'm not doing a ton of reduction in gain or reduction in volume. You can kind of see it here.
Toe circulation. Correct toes can be used in foot-shaped footwear. Correct toe.
This is the little gain knob it shows me. If it goes up really high, and it's reducing the gain a lot.
Toes can be used in foot-shaped footwear for maximum corrective effect.
This.
Correct toes are having problems. Correct toes are easily modifiable for unique feet and toes. Correct toes are a reasonably priced alternative to orthotics and surgery, and they are designed to prevent and
the reason I don't add a lot on the MIXBUS is because on the individual tracks, I play around with the compression a little bit more, so you'll see that coming up soon. Okay, so next, I then add something called a noise meter. So let's load John's here. You can actually hear the difference. So this is a noise meter. Basically, I'm going to play it. I'm going to have it listen and learn if there's any extra humming or buzzing in John's space that he's recording. And then it will detect that humming, and then I could modify it so that I can take out some of that volume. So let's go ahead and hit play on this one. Let's go ahead. So I have to play it when John's not speaking. So let's shut it off. And let's mute myself. So I don't know if you can hear that, but you can hear a little buzzing sound. So let's go ahead and hit learn. Oh, gotta turn it on. That's the wave file of the noise that's being made. So now that I did that, I'm going to go back to John's when he's talking.
In this program, you earn.
Let's do it again. Really well. Learning. Cool. Learned it. There it is right there. Let's play John's.
This is the program for them.
So now
in this program, you earn your money back. You dictate. You decide how much weight you want to lose.
So now I'm going to do it bypassed and then not bypassed. You'll hear the insertion of whatever sound that is that's happening in his room. So let's play it without. Or sorry, with it on. So now it's reducing it.
Anyone who has struggled with weight loss in the past, this is the program for them.
Off.
In this program, you earn your money back. You dictate.
Cool. Next, I like to use SSL. So SSL, solid state logic. This is a combination of frequency, EQ, and a gate, and it's also a little bit of compression. So I don't add a lot of compression here. For John's voice in particular, he doesn't have quite the quality microphone that I have. So I have to add a little bit more compression, a couple different ways to John's audio so that it sounds a little cleaner. Coffee is one of the best things ever invented. So I basically am doing a gate. Now a gate, what that gate does is similar to a noise reduction, but what it does is whenever John stops speaking or whenever his audio gets to a certain low enough volume level, this gate turns on and it shuts off. It mutes all the sound. So you can see this little green, I'm pointing with my finger. You can see this little green, these little green lights right here. Now, whenever John is no longer speaking, you'll see that this starts to go on. That's the gate turning on. So let's go ahead and play that.
You decide how much weight you want to lose. You decide how much weight you want to lose it by, and you earn your money back. Again, this weight loss program. The contract is a great weight loss program. Call or text 732-475-0142 for more information.
Now look, John's not talking
we
at
are
all over
also
here.
brought to
you really well. And it's just just feels so wonderful. It really does. Like yesterday, I had a long. All right, cool. Anything else? I'm adding a little bit of compression. So I'm just basically going at a high point, and this side over here does gain reduction. So John just has a couple of points where he's getting a little too loud, but it kind of spikes a little bit. So I'm just looking to use this compressor to reduce just those parts.
Tone. They're naturally antimicrobial
and
hypo.
Right here, maybe right here.
It's
live.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right.
Today on Personal Trainers React is
so just a little bit there. Okay. Next I will. So I do the same thing with mine. So I do the same thing with the noise reduction on mine. I do the same thing with the channel. Let's go ahead and go over to mine. I do these same processes for both of our tracks. So the next thing I'll do is I'll use an EQ. So I like to use neutron elements. Here it is right here. Looks really cool. This is going to show me the frequency range. So I'll play it over. Let's pick a spot. Let's go like right here. What am I saying? Hopefully it's nothing embarrassing. How people's regular habits work and like day to day. For me, I always say the biggest thing with fasting, and I've said this before, is so this is the frequency range that you see. These are the waves. So it starts low to high. Up here, right over here, is really the low end. Actually, let me go back even further. So over here is very, very low. So now human speech, volume, we're never really talking this low. It's really just not possible unless I get like really, really low. But even then, that's not getting over here. This would be like a thud on the ground or like that popping sound that you hear sometimes in the microphone that gets really annoying. So what I do is I take this right here. This is called a pass filter. So I will just take this and I'll just cut all of this low end out right here. So if I play it, the psychological element that's out, so related to low over here. None of this is coming that through. We struggle with food because we are addicted. Next, around this frequency range, this is about 300 hertz. Right around here in my room, in John's room, it's very similar. This is an area that sounds very boxy. It's a frequency that's very, very boxy, and it's actually the sound of the room that we're recording in. So if I play it, and I'm gonna actually solo it, you'll hear the boxiness of my voice. Let me solo this. To food because we have so much of it. But if you're trying to lose weight, your problem is probably that you have a food addiction. Not a very good sound, so I'm just gonna cut that out a little bit. And, well, actually, I could have kind of a good amount for 5 dB of sound. And then once I remove that, it starts making my voice sound a little cleaner. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can. Let me play it. I always say the biggest thing with fasting, and I've said this before, is the psychological element related to food. That we struggle with food because we are addicted to food because we have so much of it. That if you're trying to lose weight, your problem is probably that if I cut that out, it already enhances a little bit of the bass end, which I actually want. So in the next part, I then boost the bass. So this part right here, this frequency right here is where I add, so the bass part is like your chest voice. So it creates a sense of the speaker being closer to the listener than they really are, and it makes it sound a little more intimate, a little more personal. So if I shut this off and like day to day, for me, I always say the biggest thing with fasting, and I've said this before, is the psychological element that's related to food. That we struggle with food because we are addicted to food because we have so much of it. That if you're trying to lose weight, your problem is probably that you have a food addiction. How are you going to break a food addiction? And the next right over here, this is like air. Just adds a little breath to it. Sounds kind of nice. So that person has experience how people's regular habits work and like day to day. For me, I always say the biggest thing with fasting, and I've said this before, is the psychological element. All right, so that's what I do with the EQ. I do something very similar to John's. I'll go over here just to show you the shape of it. almost identical, just a couple little changes. You just have to listen for it. John's over here. I cut out the low a little bit more because of his microphone. His microphone has a lot more popping to it when he gets close to it. So I just cut that out. So I try to get that pop out of there as much as possible. But I don't want to cut it too much, because if I cut it too much, I'll over.
Anybody who has fasted, they have no experience either fasting for themselves or working with clients or patients with fasting. And I'm actually scrolling down a little bit and reading a little bit. And this is what drives me nuts. People decide, especially...
You can see he loses that bass clearly. It sounds more like a telephone. So yeah, all right, that's John. Okay, next I will add one of my favorite compressors. It's called the Novatron. It's definitely 100% overkill when it comes to doing speech and podcasting. I think the recommendation is like bass guitar and drums. I don't care. I love it. It's awesome. I use it on my acoustic guitar too. Also by Cush Audio. So let me play it. It just adds a nice warmth to the voice without it sounding artificial. So let me turn it, let me bypass it. Oh, he's an author. So, I mean, he's got Eat to Live, the revolutionary plan for fast and sustained weight loss, and fasting and eating for health. Fasting for weight loss carries other health risks as well. While fasting for a day or two is rarely a problem if you're healthy, it can be quite dangerous if you're not already eating a healthy diet. All right. Or if you've got liver. Here's what we're looking at. This is showing me how much reduction in gain it is doing. So it is finding the highest points of my speech, and it's lowering it down a little bit by 1 to 3 dB. Over here is the in and the out, the energy level. So it's showing me how much audio is going in and how much is coming out. When you're doing a compressor, you want that to be around the same. That's really, really important. You want the volume to go in and come out at the same amount. You never really want a processing thing, a processor like a compressor or an EQ to change the volume level. You only want it to change the tone or the dynamics that you're working on. So these knobs are cool looking. This is how much it's going to compress. So if I really go all in as well. While fasting for a day or two is rarely a problem if you're healthy, that's a lot. It can be quite dangerous if you're not already eating a healthy diet. Or if you attack how quickly it clamps down and how quickly it starts the compressor, and then the release, attack, release. This is how quickly it releases the processor. All right, that's the gist of that. I do the same thing. If you've got liver or kidney problems, any kind of, do the same thing on John's.
Withdrew. And exercise is kind of that afterthought. And that's what a lot of my clients, that's what a lot of your clients.
Cool. What am I missing? Oh, and then I add just a sprinkle, just like salt to taste here. I add a room reverb. It's this MIXBUS right here. It's an effects bus. It's not really bus. It's an effects channel. And I have these two, myself and John. Our audio goes, this level right here is just a level. It's a very slight amount over into this reverb. Not sure if you can really hear it. It creates a sense of we are in the same room together, even though we're really not in the same room together. So I will play it, and I'm going to over-exaggerate it so you can really hear. I'll solo it. Form these bad habits, and they become so ingrained like this that they become really hard to push against. And I think food can be definitely one of them, where you wake up in the morning and because you've been eating breakfast. So you see, it sounds like I'm further away now. That's within the track if I play it together. Even though you might not be, actually. You might,
right?
Your brain could be lying to you, and your brain lies to you all the time. That's how exercise and fatigue works, right? When you start racing, when you're in a track and field race, or you're lifting a weight that's newer, your brain's like, too much. Hey, wait a second. Actually, I think you should stop. I think you should stop this. This is getting difficult. But All right, so before and after. Let's play John's before and after. I'm going to turn everything off and then everything on.
Do what makes you happy. But if you're constantly getting sick, well, if you want to lose weight, really, that's a big one. But if you're constantly getting sick, if you don't like the way your skin looks, if you don't like the way you feel, then it is incumbent on you to try something different. And I will tell you personally, from somebody who loves food, I love food, I am a foodie, you will appreciate the food you eat tenfold when you start fasting. And then you don't miss breakfast, you don't miss lunch. You look forward to dinner. And when you have that dinner at the end of the day, it is like crossing the finish line of a marathon. It is so satisfying.
Sounds pretty good. One of the last things I do is on my master bus over here. First of all, I'm going to look at the level. So this is called Lean loudness meter. Pretty cool. I'm going to play John's track.
Not to mention,
up here is showing me short-term loudness and then integrated, so kind of long-term average loudness. Now, I did a quick little Google search quite a few times, and I got the gist of if you're doing podcasting, they recommends that you do a loudness meter for podcasting around -18 LUFS. So I'm going to hit play, and we're going to see where that sits.
Throughout the course of the day, you are exponentially more productive. You are able to, quote unquote, smell the roses that much better. Fasting is not that hard. Now, again, if you have no problems, keep doing what you're doing. It's okay.
And I think every time we are listening to a podcast, now, if you notice, not quite loud enough. So before this loudness meter, we have ozone elements. And I have this one. I'm not using this. This is equalizer. I'm not using this. I'm using something called a maximizer. This is a limiter. So a limiter is a more extreme compressor. Basically, I'm going to modify the ceiling so that it never goes louder than this. And then I'm going to take this threshold, and what you're going to notice is as I decrease the threshold, as I bring it down, the overall volume of the speech is going to go up. It's basically a compressor on speed. It really enhances it, so it's going to make the volume louder overall. And I'm going to do that and try to get it to around -18, but I'm not obsessed with numbers. So if I bring it up to -18 and it sounds bad, like maybe the noise floor, maybe John's room just gets too annoying, or my room gets too annoying, or the weird sounds that we make in between speech start sounding annoying, I won't bring it up to 18. I will bring it back down. I want it to sound good and not just chase after a specific number. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's hit play. On the drive a little bit about how you form these bad habits and they become so ingrained that they become really hard to push against. And oops, I didn't turn it on. My bad. There we go. And I think food can be definitely one of them, where you wake up in the morning, and because you've been eating breakfast your entire life, you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I must be hungry. I must be hungry now. Even though you might not be, actually. You might,
right.
Your brain could be lying to you. And your brain lies to you all the time. That's how exercise and fatigue works, right? When you start racing, when you're in a track and field race or you're lifting a weight that's newer, your brain's like, hey, wait a second. Actually, I think you should stop. I think you should stop this. This is getting difficult. But physically, you could actually probably do that feat that you're trying to do. I like how that sounds. I think that's pretty loud. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to be done with that after I go through all the little details, which are boring. But let me just give you one little thing that I'm going to do. I just noticed it. So if you notice, John so rudely interrupt me while I was speaking. So you see that little clip right there? You see this little thing right here? Let's see. What does John have to, what is he saying right here? What's so important that he has to talk while I'm talking? And be definitely one of them where you might not be, actually. You might
Right.
your brain could right. Was that really necessary? Okay, I would say no. I'm gonna go here. Automation. This is called mute automation. So that means when the track exports, it's going to automatically mute John right here, so we don't have that unnecessary right. Like, and I think food cannot be actually. You might, your brain could be lying to you, and your brain lies. Does he do it again? I bet you. Oh, what's this? What's this? There's the I want to do this, and then there's the I should do this, and I think. I hope John gets to listen to this part. Totally not necessary. Okay, what? I'm sure I do it too. Let's find another one. What's this? About Queen. Remember the band Queen? Do you remember how it was? Yeah. What's his name? And they made him have they gave him like teeth. Did you see the movie?
I didn't see because I heard it was sad, and I love Queen.
Yeah, it was sad, but they would show you like them writing Another One Bites the Dust, and it was like written in like 2 minutes, and I was like, no, I don't think that worked that way. It's a lot of work. Yeah. It's a lot of work. Yeah, that's all you have to add there. No. How about no? You said yeah? I'm saying no. Okay, we're done. So I'll do the rest of here on my own. I don't need to record all that. Thanks for watching. I mean, I guess you could subscribe, but I mean, I don't have a lot of stuff up here right now. Just some music. All right. Goodbye.